This is the most exciting player in this draft.
Lamar's his guy, and so they are moving into a new direction and a new team and a new philosophy.
The AFC North is getting the red pin treatment today. Draft grades presented by Alexis and handed out by David and D'Angelo. Hopefully you are not as tough as TD, guys, who told us that he doesn't give out A's as a matter of principle and who downgraded everyone who had a chance to draft Rosen but did not.
Wow.
So I guess that means that the Browns should be happy that you guys are here today. Baker Mayfield, their selection at 1. That surprised some people, as did their 4th overall pick, Denzel Ward. Took him over Bradley Chubb. Turned around and got Nick Chubb in the 2nd round. 2 picks after they took a tackle, Austin Corbett, to help fill the void left by Joe Thomas. 9 picks total. How'd they do, David?
I actually like the Baker Mayfield pick. I gave that an A. Just that pick. Everything else for me was questionable.
Yeah.
Like when they took Ward, I'm sure he's a great player. He probably is going to be a really good corner. But you could have had Bradley Chubb, pair him with Myles Garrett, and now you got someone to go get after Ben, and get after these quarterbacks, because that's where the league is at this point. And when you're picking at 4, I mean, I feel like you can get more of an impact player, although Denzel could probably be a really good player. I'm going to go with C overall for the Browns.
I'm a little nicer. I'm the teacher everybody wants.
I like it.
I gave him a B+.
Okay.
I wasn't really sold on the Baker pick, but I understand. If that's the direction they want to go, if they really feel confident about his leadership ability and the things that aren't tangible that he brings to the table, then I'm all for it. If they believe in it, but like you said, with that 4 pick, I kind of wanted Chubb. I wanted a guy who could put a gold jacket on. And Denzel Ward is actually a really good player. But, I wasn't in love with their total draft, but I give them a B+ because they did find some hidden gems. There's Antonio Callaway out of University of Florida. Didn't play football last year, but this kid's amazing. That's Mika Fitzpatrick right there, who we're talking about being a player. And he's a young kid in these clips because he didn't play last year. But he has speed. He trains down in Miami with Antonio Brown. He's very similar to Antonio Brown in just his ability. And, I mean, he's a football player. He has that dog that you talk about wanting guys to have. And so I gave him a B+.
About Ward, Greg Williams had an interesting explanation for that. He said that he watched 28 pass rushes of Myles Garrett from last year where he got within a couple of feet of the quarterback, but the ball came out. So he thinks that the ability, somebody to cover the wide receivers will give them more time to do their jobs.
What if you had Bradley Chubb on the other side? Would it be?
That would help too. But it's still same
makes
situation. If you get the ball out fast, it doesn't matter.
But the coaches have rationalized it, then it will fit their system, so that's fine.
Okay, how about the Bengals? They went center in the 1st round to help out that second to last place rush offense from last season. Mark Walton should help in that department also. As for the defense, Bengals addressed all 3 levels in their first 4 picks, grabbing a safety, D-end, and linebacker. How do you grade that?
I like all of these picks, actually. I mean, starting from the center, I know it's not like the attractive pick when you take a center in the 1st round, but when you think about it, I mean, he makes the calls. He helps Andy Dalton with what's going on at the line of scrimmage. So if he's a good player and you have him pegged, go ahead and grab that guy. I gave them a B, actually. Out of Mike Mayock has a top 100. They got 5 of the top 100 guys on his list in their draft. So I thought they did a good job, B.
People in Cincinnati aren't going to like me. They had the worst draft to me. They did get good players, but I think they could have got better players. I gave them a C. We talk about the center, Billy Price. He was a good player, or he is a good player. Hurt his pec at the combine, so he's going to start on probably PUP or injured reserve or something like that until he can work back in. Pec's really not a major issue. He'll be able to bounce back from that. But to me, he wasn't even a top center. And so, to me, you have to get the top player at that position. Unless scheme-wise, they felt like he moved better or he was able to, do some things a little better for them. But to me, I gave him a C. I felt like it was an average draft.
I can see why you did that, too, because there aren't really, like you said, there aren't really those explosive guys that really stand out when you think about the Bengals draft. But it's pretty solid, but I see what you're saying.
Well, TD really liked Mark Walton.
Yeah.
Point that out. He
Hopefully
thinks that he's going to be very
players.
good there. How about the Ravens? They had 8 picks originally. They made some moves. They ended up with 12. That's the most in the draft. They addressed their 27th ranked offense in the first 4 picks, and they moved back 2 times to get their first pick in a place that they knew that they could get him. It was Ozzie's last draft. How do you think he did?
I think the Hayden Hurst pick is good, and I almost gave this an incomplete. I took a couple incompletes at Fresno. Okay? I'm just going to be 100% honest. That's what I did. But I'm going to give them a C because I'm not sure what they're going to do with Lamar. I want them to really sell out and go after the Lamar Jackson thing. If you're going to pick Lamar Jackson, you have to utilize every ounce of his ability, which is dynamic. And I just don't know if he's going to get a fair opportunity to do that if Joe Flacco's the quarterback and they're running more of a pro-style offense.
Well,
that's why I'm a little
momentarily for another year.
Yeah. But I want him to develop, right? I want Lamar to not just waste this year and say, okay, we'll play him next year. I want him to get reps at a system that he's going to be comfortable in, that they're going to utilize for his skills. So
David,
that's where I get concerned about.
This feels harsh to me. You said you're an easier grader.
I am, and I gave Baltimore the best grade in the AFC North. They have an A- from me because though Lamar Jackson has to sit for a little while, you know, he was always a kid who had to sit for a little while, but I felt like 4 out of their top 5 picks have first-round talent. You know, you talk about, you know, this being Ozzy's last draft. I think he set this franchise up in a great position going forward. You know, you gave him an incomplete because Lamar Jackson's not going to play next year, most likely, which I don't think he will either. He needs time to develop, but I think they can put a great offense around him. Orlando Brown, he dropped in the draft because he didn't have a great combine, but you watch his film, and this kid plays football. Anthony Averett is another kid out of Alabama who's played corner down there, I think, since his freshman year, and so he's a guy who has reps, and I watched him technique-wise. He's up there with Denzel Ward and Mike Hughes and Jair Alexander. He's just not really explosive and fast, but he can still play ball in this league, so I gave him an A-.
Steelers drafted 7 players, and I'm sure everyone was shocked that they went defense in the first round. For the 6th straight year, they got a wideout in the 2nd round. For the 2nd straight year, Mason Rudolph in the 3rd, who apparently will not play for 3 to 5 years, according to Ben Roethlisberger. How do you grade them?
You know what? We saw Ryan Shazier as a great moment come out and give a pick. I wish they would have taken a linebacker or someone to help them because he's obviously not going to be able to play next year. That would have been something that I would have focused on. James Washington's a good pick, fill a need. I gave him a C again. I know, right down the middle, because you just don't know. Just because of the fact that by drafting Mason Rudolph, you're guaranteed to get 3 to 5 more years out of Ben Roethlisberger. I mean, you heard him come out and say it. So I'm going to say it's a pretty good pick by taking Mason because you're stoked to fire under Big Ben.
I gave him a B. I gave him a B because, like you said, they do need linebacker help, but Terrell Edmonds is a guy who's going to play a little bit of that dime linebacker role in sub packages. He's going to play safety a little bit. I like the Mason Rudolph pick. I felt like they're gearing up for the future. Ben is 37 years old. It's the thing I harped on with not the Eagles, with the Giants. At the end of the day, even if you think Eli has 3 more years, he's still 37 years old. At some point,
you got to do it.
You have to find a backup for him, unless you're sold on the guys you have. And so